For this little snippet of folklore, I am going to tell you the true story of a very evil witch who lived high in the strange and unusual haunted and haunting Dartmoor in Devon in the southwest of England, a place my husband and I know so very, very well and hold very dear in our hearts. This is a place of so much archaeology, standing stones, hut circles, burial places, stone rows. There are castle-like granite clusters of boulders sat atop high hills, the tors of Dartmoor. Majestic rivers flow, small brooks bubble. It is a place of witches and fairies and pixies and ghosts, and it has inspired artists and writers for many, many years. This time, I shall tell you the story of Vixana of Vixen Tor. Vixen Tor can be found on the western side of Dartmoor, not too far from the grand and quite lovely town of Tavistock, and nearby Merivale Stone Rose. This group of boulders stands almost like a ruined noble castle. It is fairy-like, sinister, looking down over the valley where flows the River Walkham, quite nearby Merivale Bridge. It is a haunting place even to this day, very enigmatic indeed. Once a long ago, in a secret cavern beneath Vixen Tor, lived the witch Vixana. The cavern, it was said, had been carved by magical means. Her spells had drawn the earth gnomes here to work the room of the cavern, to create Vixana a home where she could carry out her spell weaving. Vixana was ancient, wise beyond human knowledge, a necromancer able to summon the dead and communicate with them. In her head, she had only 2 teeth, long and sharp as the wolf's teeth, and they stuck down from her upper gums. Her skin was as wrinkled as an old apple, furrowed as the ploughed field. The local folk from this part of Dartmoor were terrified of the witch, and so took the greatest of care never to travel nearby her home of Vixen Tor. Now, in Vixana's day, the land below Vixen Tor was covered in the most dangerous mire, a bogland of sure doom. Nothing gave the witch more delight than the fun of leading unknowing and innocent travellers into this treacherous and deadly dangerous piece of land. As the light of dawn would begin to appear at the entrance to her cave, she would crawl forth and climb spider-like to stand on the boulders of Vixen Tor, peering around, looking out for unwary travellers, muttering to herself evil spells and incantations. The moment she saw an innocent walker, she would wait patiently until they reached a particular piece of ground. Then she would raise her scrawny arms high to the sky, wave her hand and weave her spell. As soon as her words ended, a swirling mist would begin to rise from the centre of the mire, rising and turning thicker and thicker, becoming a spectral dense fog. This would drift towards the traveller, growing and growing until they could not escape, not knowing which way to turn or put the next step. A step would be taken, though, a step that led them into the swamp, into the swallowing mud of the bog. As the poor victim screamed a last cry for help, Vixana the witch would howl high on top of her granite perch, raising her arms once more to wave another spell. the fog would disappear to become a mist again and return to its spot on the mire, smaller and then nothing at all. Once it had dissolved, all that could be seen was the empty land, still, marshy, water glinting in the light, but not a sight to bear witness of the sad loss of life. On another part of the moor, a long distance away, there lived a very good man, a moorland man, born and bred on Dartmoor. He had once done the pixies of Dartmoor a great kindness, and they had rewarded him with 2 magical gifts. The first gift was that of clear sight no matter the place nor the weather, so he could see safely through the heaviest rain and the thickest of fogs. The second gift that the pixies of Dartmoor gave him was a magical gold ring. Once placed on his finger, the man would become invisible if there was any danger to his life. One fine day, he met a traveller, a frightened fellow who told him all about the legend of Vixana and the strange disappearances of other lone travellers over the moor, and the fear of her spells that covered the land. Now, this moorland man decided that something had to be done about this. This witch would have to be gone. He would be the man to put an end to this evil doing and the loss of life. He prepared his pack ready for the journey and placed his gold ring in his pocket and began the long hard walk to Vixen Tor. The valley in those days was not as it is today. It was rough going, hard work, wild terrain, and he was not a young man, and he grew tired with his struggle as he got closer and closer to the Tor. High on the Tor, Vixana was perched. She was in the foulest of moods. So many people were afraid of the place now that hardly any travellers dare to pass this way anymore. She scanned the landscape with her bright, beady eyes and saw a figure approaching. The moorlander was slowly getting closer and closer, and her lips twisted into a 2-toothed evil smile. She raised her skinny arm and cast her wicked spell. The magical mist began to rise from the mire. It started twirling and swirling towards the moorland man, and quite soon it covered him completely in thick, dense fog. Inside the fog, however, the moorland man really did not care at all, because he could see as clear as day, thanks to the gift of the pixie's clear sight. He was able to pick his way safely from hard ground to hard ground, and soon was very close to Vixen Tor. Vixana saw him getting nearer and screamed in rage. Once more she flung her arms in the air and cast a spell to bring the man to his doom. Hearing the scream and finally seeing the witch, the man realized the danger he was about to face. He slipped the ring from his pocket and slipped it onto his finger. The pixie magic worked again, and the moorland man, well, he vanished. Vixana looked everywhere. Where had he gone? She searched everywhere from the top of her rocks, but not a thing. Little did she know that the man had silently climbed the rocks and was now stepping closer to her, silent as the female fox that gives the Tor its name. Closer, closer and closer he crept. Not even the sound of a breath escaped him. He pushed forward with a great shove, and Vixana was straight over the side of the rocks. She screamed as she fell, down, down, down from that great height to her death at the bottom of the rocks of Vixen Tor. The people of the valley and all the villages around that part of Dartmoor heard very quickly about the death of Vixana. The moorland man was a hero. No more innocent lives would be lost. Rejoicing, they took the moorland man into their homes and into their hearts, and rewarded him so well that he lived in comfort all the rest of his days. I hope you enjoyed this latest snippet of folklore. Vixen Tor on Dartmoor is really quite an enigmatic looking place to this very day, and you can walk there. It's at a part of the moor full of ancient places, striking views and the prettiest walks. However, close your eyes and hold your breath a while if you are there, and you may just hear the echoes of the screams of Vixana the witch. Until next time, dear friends, keep well, brightest of blessings, and remember, don't play with the fairy folk, or you may end up in one of my folk tales yourself.